Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. Here with some comments on what I think a lot of fight fans are talking about. 24/7, Episode 1, Mayweather versus Ortiz. I love these shows. Every time one comes on, there's a lot of talk online in boxing chat rooms and on my channel page, and I get a lot of emails as well. So let's try to bring it to a wider audience. Let's talk about 24/7. Let's talk about the portrayals. Right now, let me just tell you my bias. I've grown up in a world where, and I'm in the United States, I've grown up in a world where, in my opinion, if you're young and a person of color, black, brown, if you're a person of color, your youth culture is almost always devalued in these documentaries, right? I'm not saying HBO is racist, and I'm not saying that any devaluation is intentional, but what I am saying is this, and it's just factual. Understand that Curtis Jackson, who has gone by the name Curtis Jackson when he's acted in movies, right? He is a mogul. He has made 9 figures in some years. 9, right? He has an equity interest in things like vitamin water. He's actually on the cutting edge in terms of marketing to his customers. And of course, he has his hand in several different product lines, not just music, but also apparel, right? Vitamin water and other things. He has a stage name. His stage name is 50 Cent. And of course, when I'm watching this 24/7, whenever they show 50 Cent, they just refer to him as a rapper. You would get the feeling that he's not a mogul, which is exactly what he is. So I thought it was funny. I thought it was humorous. Also tragic that at the end of this 24/7, they show you Oscar De La Hoya visiting Victor Ortiz. It's part of a preview for next week's show. And Oscar, who knows how to throw image, has on a jacket, has on a collared shirt, and the feeling is that, oh, someone who's established is coming to visit Victor Ortiz. As you watch the show, you need to be aware of the cultural bias, right? Curtis Jackson is every bit the businessman that Oscar De La Hoya is. In fact, 50 Cent is more successful than Oscar in many areas, right? On the show, they want you to believe that all 50 is doing is hopping out of limos with Floyd. They also want to convince you that Floyd Mayweather hasn't been in the ring for a very long time. And of course, we see Floyd hopping out of a limo because they're trying to push an image to sell tickets for the fight. That's all the show's intended to do, right? So be aware of that. Understand, too, that Victor Ortiz is a guy who at one point, openly talked, in fact, he might still talk, about his desire to be a writer, right? Victor Ortiz is multifaceted. Boxing is only one thing that Victor Ortiz does, right? We hear nothing, nothing, zero, zip, nada on any outside interest that Victor Ortiz has, right? In other words, in this behind the scenes look at the fighters, just be aware that the image that's being thrown in the 30 minutes is an incomplete image. Just food for thought. Okay, so, with that said, let's talk about the eye-openers in the series. First, let me say there's a big misperception, and it's huge, that there's a lot of money in boxing. That when you look at a title fight like this, that, the boxers are well paid and their teams are well paid. Well, I have to give this show credit because this show really shows you what's going on. It's an eye-opener when they point out that Danny Garcia, excellent trainer, the older brother of Robert Garcia, right? From the same family, boxing family. They show you that Danny Garcia, from a boxing family, right? His brother has several champions, including Brandon Rios, right? Antonio Margarito, right? The brother has several champions. Danny Garcia has Victor Ortiz, who, of course, is the welterweight champion. This show shows you that Danny Garcia actually has a day job, right? Or a night job. He works the night shift. He's a truck driver for Coca-Cola, right? That's what boxing's really about. Understand, some fighters, Mike Jones, Powell Wolak, I know that they used to have day jobs. This is during their careers, right? So when you would see Powell Wolak in a fight, I believe Wolak was working construction. I believe Mike Jones works at the post office. It's only recently that Wolak has backed away from his job. But while Wolak was a top 10 contender, he was literally working and had to take leaves of absence from work to train for fights. So understand, when we get inundated, again, it's an image thing, with talk about the millions of dollars that the very few are getting, right? The very few, maybe 20 in the entire sport, right? Because you have champs who haven't seen big money, right? Bernard Hopkins, dominant middleweight champion, says that he's now getting back pay because he really wasn't paid in the 90s when he was dominant during his streak as a welterweight champion, right? So here, just take a look at Ortiz's camp in particular, how the guys are making it work. Even Ortiz's brother, when he visits camp, they make him a personal assistant, right? Because these guys, quite frankly, don't have money to waste, and Ortiz is a champion, right? So even with the big payday, understand there isn't a lot of money to go around. You can imagine how fewer the dollars would be if these guys weren't fighting in a title fight with a TV camera filming them as part of a documentary, right? So don't kid yourself. Lamont Peterson recently fought for the right to fight, I believe, Amir Khan, and understand in that fight, Peterson made less than $15,000. Let me also make another point, too. As we talk about boxing for real, take a look at all the people around these fighters, right? These fighters are helping a lot of people pay their bills by necessity. Look at the Mayweather gym. You're going to see Mayweather has several people around him, and they're doing jobs, right? They're getting his gloves ready. They're keeping the ring clean, right? They're doing everything to make the gym work. So understand, by the time a fighter has made it, he is in debt to a whole group of people, right? If Victor Ortiz wins this fight, understand that he really does owe Danny Garcia, his trainer, who, right now has a job for medical benefits. I mean, is driving a truck when he's not training Victor Ortiz, right? Ortiz really does owe other members of his team. They actually show one who works on a golf course and then goes and helps train Victor. So, when you hear about a fighter's purse, you need to also think to yourself, well, from that purse, that fighter needs to take care of his boxing family, not just his real family, but his boxing family. Just food for thought. Okay? Just a few more comments here. The first, for gamblers. They have Floyd hopping out of his limo. They tell you that Floyd hasn't been in the ring and all this other stuff. Forget the narratives, right? You know what I think of narratives. I think they're biased. Take a look at Floyd's weight. Look at his body, right? Look at his breath as he works out and talks to the camera. I'm just here to say Floyd Mayweather is already in fighting shape. If Floyd needed to fight the guy tomorrow, Floyd could fight the guy tomorrow, right? As he's doing a workout, he talks to the camera. He's able to talk to the camera. His cardiovascular is in top shape. When Floyd looks at the camera and says, "Who works harder than me?" That's all you need to know. Mayweather is ready, right? He's not Ricky Hatton. He's not Roberto Duran. He's not one of these guys out living the good life. I believe that when he hops out of a limo, you need to ignore the limo. Who cares if he's hopping out of a limo? He's ready for the fight. He's not living the Carlos Monzon lifestyle, right? This guy is living the lifestyle of a professional fighter. He is a professional first and foremost. He's in shape today. He's ready to fight today. There's no body fat on his body. The second thing to look at, nor is there on Victor Ortiz. These are two very hardworking, very mentally tough guys. The second thing to look at Ortiz's body. You'll see these guys aren't even in the same weight class. I know at the weigh-in they'll both weigh 147. But understand, Victor Ortiz seems to walk around a good 10 pounds heavier than Floyd Mayweather, right? These two guys are not the same weight class. I know Ortiz was fighting at 140. It's clear just looking at his body that he weighs about 160 pounds, right? Now, that might actually work against him because there's folklore out there that the way to beat Floyd Mayweather is to fight like Jose Castillo did, right? Come inside on Floyd, try to smother him. I'm just here to tell you that the Castillo rematch wasn't that close. Floyd Mayweather has lifted his inside game. The Ricky Hatton fight, and Hatton is a better inside fighter than Castillo. We know that because the two guys fought and Hatton beat Castillo, right? Understand the Ricky Hatton fight. If Floyd didn't knock out Ricky Hatton, Floyd would have won that fight by wide margins on each card. Floyd was dominating the fight. So if Ortiz believes that his size advantage will allow him to work Floyd from the inside out, he's kidding himself. In my opinion, to win that fight, Ortiz is going to have to fight the kind of fight that David Haye fights, the kind of fight that Jean Pascal fights, that Sergio Martinez fought against Sergei Zinzurek, right? He's going to have to be outside coming in, right? He can't be inside trying to work Floyd because that's when he's going to be a victim of shoulder rolls, elbow locks, head pulls, all of the things that are listed on the video that I have on my channel page right now. Okay? All right, now the third thing, too, is they're going to show you film of Ortiz against Marcos Maidana. Understand that Maidana, in the film they show you, knocks down Ortiz on a straight right hand. Then you're going to see film of Andre Berto against Ortiz, and you're going to see, and that's a fight Ortiz won, but you're going to see Berto knocks down Ortiz on a right hand, right? Few in boxing have the accuracy with their right hands that Floyd Mayweather does, right? Hey, I enjoy this show. It's fun to watch. You know, until this show tells me how Victor Ortiz is going to deal with Floyd Mayweather's straight right hands, then this show is missing a big part of what we need to know as fans. Finally, let me just say this. You know, Floyd Mayweather Sr., very good fighter. It's always tougher to build a house than it is to build the room in the house, right? You know, boxing, it's harder to be the patriarch, the person who starts it, than it is to be the son, the family member who picks it up from you. And here, you know, I understand Floyd Sr. and Floyd Jr. had words. Just understand Floyd Sr. was an excellent fighter. You know, boxing has a lot of guys from boxing families. Darren Barker is from a boxing family, right? Danny Garcia's brother is a boxing trainer. I just think it's harder to be the patriarch than it is to be the family member who learns.